Good morning, everybody. Glad to see quite a few of you in here so far. We are going to get started for the day. So, a couple announcements, right? Yesterday I sent out a post on the Discord that was just kind of going over what is going to happen for the next little bit of the semester. Mostly just because the library still hasn't updated me on when or if those computers are going to be fixed to be able to run Zbrush. So instead of being in this limbo state, I'm just going to scrap Zbrush. Good morning. Good to see everybody. So instead of dealing with that garbage, we're just going to do another Maya assignment, which I don't think is a bad thing. More Maya is always good for you to learn and understand. So we're going to do a futuristic crate, like a chest or something, right? So we'll model that. I do have one that I've kind of modeled a little bit, but we'll step through that today. And then that model will be unwrapped and textured and all that fun stuff. So if we have time and I can get it to work, I would like to try to paint it in Substance Painter if we have the time. It just depends on if we have the time or not. So we'll take a look at that. But yeah, so the end of the semester is in what, a week? So right, I believe the end of, I think it's the 24th is the last day of class. So yeah, instead of trying to deal with trying to get Zbrush to work for another week, I'd rather just give you something solid to work on. So that's the plan. Yeah, so if you have any questions on that, let me know. I will post the actual physical assignment for you all today. I'll take some screenshots, but we'll model this thing and then we'll get rolling. Okay, so it looks something like this. Excuse me, let me go over to our screen so you can see. So we're gonna model a crate like this. Looks something, it's gonna end up looking something like this. Okay, kind of a futuristic crate looking chest, right? Yeah, turn in the ZBrush lab but we won't mark it late. That's the only ZBrush thing we're gonna do though. It's just that lab. So if you can get the 14-day, hopefully you can get the 14-day free trial working. If you absolutely cannot get it working, then maybe I'll just turn that lab extra credit. So I just need to kind of get a feel for like how many people can't get it to work, right? Because the free trial thing should be okay. It just won't transfer between multiple computers and all that stuff. But if you can get it working at home to do a quick 50-minute assignment, then cool. But if more than 10% of the class can't get it figured out, then I'll just make it extra credit. So yeah, maybe I'll put a poll in the Discord and see, hey, have you gotten ZBrush working or not? And we'll figure that out. Okay. I'm not opposed to making it extra credit either. So yeah. What else? I think that's most of it for right now. So we're going to model this crate together. Game on Discord about the Viking Shield project. Yep, happy to take a look. Yeah, I'll take a look at it for you. Sounds good. Okay. Yeah, no. That's I apologize for the ridiculousness with the software for Zbrush. Historically, it has not been that difficult to get things to work. It just works in our lab at the school, or in building 72. It just works. We have a ton of licenses allocated for students to use. So it has. Last semester it was rough. They told me they were going to fix it. Obviously, it hasn't been fixed. But the from now on, I believe my classes will be in building 72. So, anyways, let's get modeling this guy. It looks a lot more complicated than it actually is. It has a mixture of some hard surface stuff, and then we've softened some edges. In my thoughts, some of this stuff would be painted, with like maybe some sort of emissive map on it. This stuff would glow. Then this would be some metallic texture or something. But anyways, let's get started. So, like always, we're going to start from a cube here. Okay. So I'm going to kind of scale up this cube, and we'll work from here. I'm going to go into vertex mode, grab all the bottom vertices here with marquee select. Then I'm going to hold X on my keyboard and snap them to the grid. Okay. Just want to make sure the bottom of my crate is sitting on that grid. And then I'm going to take all the edges here, holding shift in edge mode, click on all my edges like this, the four corners. And I'm going to hit bevel. Okay. Bevel's going to create this shape that we want here. We can change the fraction of this. I'm not too concerned. Maybe something like this. Then I take both these faces here. I can scale these back up a little bit. I don't want that one selected. Can scale those back up and maybe push them back in on themselves. Maybe shrink this a little bit. Yeah, I like that. Maybe shrink the whole object by a little bit. Okay. So now we have, a cube that looks something like this, which is fine. I'm going to take the bottom face here and bevel this one. Right? So I'm starting to get, the look that I want here. So if I can get that beveled, that's what I want, right? And I might even bevel the top too. It's one thing that I didn't do on the last one that I was like, I should have done that too. So maybe we'll take a smaller bevel, like a 0.1 there. This one's a little bit deeper. This one's a little bit shallower. So if you'll notice here, this cube, while this looks good, we do need a couple things. Some edges are smooth that I don't love. So I'm going to go mesh display and hit harden edge on this whole thing, right? Make sure all my edges are displaying as hard edges. And then we have some n-gons, right? This face is an n-gon and this face is an n-gon. That's fine. Pretty easy to repair or fix this. We just take our multi-cut tool right here and we can cut from here to here and create that quad, right? So if I turn off the grid, it's probably a little bit easier for you to see, right? We just cut from here to here, and now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sided faces, right? Pretty easy to deal with. Same thing on the top. In fact, we are not even going to use this top piece because we're going to cheat a little bit here and use the top as our we're going to use the top as the lid. So I'll show you in just a sec how we're going to do that. I think actually we can start doing that right now. So we'll hit Control D to duplicate this and move this up. No, Ngons are, it's kind of a discussion that, you know, can go in a couple different directions, right? Ngons are not a horrible thing sometimes because there's a lot of softwares that can just fix them for you. You'll see a lot of people that use Blender just modeling in Ngons with no problem, and that's fine. I think it's okay to do so. I was taught to avoid them just because some engines, specifically Unreal, have a hard time dealing with them. Sometimes they'll just spit the model back out at you. Sometimes Zbrush, when you import Maya models, will just spit the model back out at you because it doesn't want to deal with the Ngons. So it can get frustrating trying to mess with them and make them work for you. Yeah, for sure. If you've sent me DMs on Discord, I feel like I got everybody's, but if I didn't, then yes, I will definitely jump into my Discord and double check. So, yeah, I apologize. I thought I had hit all of my DMs in there. If I haven't, then I'll take a look here, but okay, yeah, I have 3. So I'll read all those and respond to everybody that has sent me something. Okay. So we copied the top of our crate, right? I was talking through that, so let me talk back through this. So we're going to duplicate the bottom here, right? I'm hitting Control D to duplicate. I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to rotate it in its place. Holding J will allow me to snap. Oh, it's because I was talking about Ngons. Yeah, some softwares don't play nice with them. Also causes problems with animations and deformations. Paul is 100% correct. They're a pain too because when you go to UV unwrap, sometimes they can cause problems with your direction of your unwrapping. Like you're trying to unwrap around this thing and you can't because of the way the edge flow is working with that Ngon. So yeah, they can just cause problems. They don't triangulate either, which is why the engines don't like them. They'll spit the model back out because it wants to triangulate everything, and it can't triangulate it because it's not a quad. What button do you use for the circle pivot stuff? If you hit D on your keyboard, it allows you to move that pivot around. If you hit D again, it goes back to the normal pivot that you're used to. D allows you to kind of move it around. Sorry, the allergy is really bad right now. Okay, so we've duplicated the bottom of our crate, right? Now there's a couple other ways we could do this too, right? We could technically take the top here and do an extrusion method, but this way works too. I like to do the Frankenstein style of modeling where if I've already built it once, I'm going to reuse it, right? So that's why I'm reusing the top of the bottom for the top of the crate here. So now that I've scaled that down and moved this down, I'm going to take the top here and maybe even scale this down more if I can. I just want that fall off to be there. So I'm taking this. Yeah. Something like that. I want it to feel like the lid for the crate. So I'm going to move my pivot now to just one of these corners here. Hit W, and then I can hold V to snap. I move the pivot by hitting the D key and then holding V to snap the pivot around, right? And then D key to move it, or then hitting W key to move, or holding V while I'm moving to snap to vertices, right? So here we have the top of the lid of our crate now, right? And with that, we can combine these two meshes. So we can go mesh combine, and then we can do an edit mesh merge here. So we go to vertex mode between these two things, hit edit mesh merge. And now where these two things were separated, they should be one vertex now, which is what we want, right? I'm not building this thing to be able to open. I'm just building it to be kind of a flat asset, and I'm okay with that for right now. Okay. So now we need to build these sort of metal pieces that kind of jut out. So with that, I'm going to go into my symmetry mode, and I think my symmetry is going to be in the Z axis for this. And I can just cut through the whole crate like this. I'm going to cut once here, and then go to my edge mode here, and I'm going to try to straighten these back out. It might not work with the Z symmetry turned on. So I might have to do something like this. If I hit the R key to scale, yeah, sometimes this does not work well. It wants to loop around the whole. Oh, I see. For some reason, it did not want to cut through this. It's okay. We can force it to cut. Sometimes when it doesn't want to cut, it means there's a geometry error here. So we can check that by, excuse me. We can check that by hitting 3 on our keyboard. And yeah, there is a geometry error here. There's an extra vertex floating here. So if we just get rid of that, it will fix it. Okay, now I can take this edge, straighten this one out. So I have this happening. What I am going to do is cut one directly in the middle. So holding control while I'm in my multi-cut tool, holding control and shift will allow me to, control allows it to be a loop, shift allows it to snap to percentages on the object. So if I do 50% right there, it'll cut right down the middle. Then I'm going to do our normal trick here, right? I'm going to take all these faces, delete half of this object, so that I'm only working on half now, okay? And then I'm going to cut in the other part for this metal piece here. Make sure it's all straight here. Scale on my keyboard. So this is nice and chunky here, which is what we want. And then I'm going to do an extrusion. So I'll hit extrude, and on the thickness slider, I'm just going to bump this out a little bit here. Okay. I'll probably bump it out something like that. Which is good. That's what I want. Now on the bottom side, it depends on what we're trying to go for here. If we do want it to just look like, you know, these metal rings are kind of going around the crate and the crate is sitting on these, that's fine. And I can show you what I mean. If we mirror this guy back. I'm fine with it looking like this, where it's sitting on those. The other option for us is to have it where it dies off right here. Like it stops and goes back into the bottom of the crate, which is fine with me too. So you can decide when you're modeling this. It doesn't have to look exactly like this, right? But yeah, I'm fine either way. I think for this one, I'm gonna have it set so that these kind of flow back into the bottom of the crate here. So I'm gonna do some deletions here and then refill some holes on the bottom. That also means I need to take this face or these edges and kind of snap them back into alignment with the bottom of the crate, something like that, right? It also means I could take these now and align these back with this bevel on the bottom of the crate too. So if I hold V, I can just kind of snap them in line with that bevel. And then maybe even these need to get extended out just to make sure that that kind of makes sense, that angle. So something like that feels good. And then we'll just bridge or fill this hole here. Mesh, fill hole. I'm just double clicking on the edge loop. It should ring select. I hit mesh, fill hole. Now we do have an N-gon, right? So I do need to close these back up. If I just cut here and here, hit enter, should be good. Okay. So our crate is looking pretty good. Now we can go through and kind of start cutting in some of our detail. I do want to bevel this face all the way around a little bit. So I don't need it to bevel on the bottom side. But if I can bevel this, I'm going to try to get it to bevel. We'll see what happens here. So if I hit bevel, yeah, perfect. As long as that's clean and works well. Cool. Okay. Now the question is, how does it look here? Yeah, it's not bad. The question always comes down to where to bevel and like what looks decent, right? Right now I feel like that's okay. And then making sure you don't have N-gons, right? So I'm gonna go mesh display harden edge on everything here. I'm going to take all these vertices at the bottom and just make sure that this bevel looks clean all the way around. So that transition looks good. And then this, I want to snap all these in line with the rest of the crate. No, this is going to be due at the end of the semester. So this will be the last thing we do. So today we'll do the model. Next week we'll do the unwrap and paint. So I just kind of snapped all those back in line. Now everything's in line. The other way you could do that is taking a marquee select over this row of vertices. Make sure you don't have anything selected you don't want selected. So I just have, or I take this edge loop, right? And I just scale it back flat. So that looks good to me there. Due between now and this assignment? No. Nope, this is the last one for the class. So you'll be working on this in your labs. You'll be working on this until, yeah, this is the final assignment. So, okay. So that looks good now. We've got the top, the sides kind of figured out. Now we can throw in some more detail here. and we're getting close. We should be able to finish this before the end of the stream. So I'm going to go here. Are there more lab assignments? Nope. It will just be this assignment for the rest of the semester. So this will be what you're working on in your labs. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to cut in some edge loops here on this crate so that we can get some detail going. One way to do that is by going with your edge loop tool. If you want them to all be even, you can always like count it out. Like with your multi-cut tool, you could say, okay, this one's at 80. I'm going to snap it here in 10% increments or something, right? Or there's another tool under your mesh tools that is the insert edge loop tool right here. If you click this little window, you can have it use or insert a number of edge loops for you and make them equal spaced. And then you just click and it will drop in edge loops for you, which I always find to be more intuitive. And then I'm just going to kind of straighten these all back out just to make them a little nicer here. So now we have some detail here we can play with on this guy. So I'm going to take this and do some extrusions here. So I'm going to take this face, this set of faces, and this set of faces here, all the way around. And I'm going to do an extrusion. And I'm going to do a thickness. And I'm going to do an offset. So that will get that look that we're going for there. Okay. Sweet. So that's pretty quick. And then around the top of the crate here, I'm going to do that on these corners. So we'll do an extrusion. I could do it here too. So we do an extrusion, we do a thickness, and we do an offset. I want to do 1.15, I think. Is that how I want that to look? And an offset. No. So leave the thickness at a 0.1. Offset will be a 1.15 maybe. See how that looks. We'll do a mesh display harden edge on all this. Just gonna want to see how that looks. Yeah, I'm good with that. And then there's going to be a couple more extrusions here. I am going to soften the edges in between these just because in my mind, they look like kind of the inside or the like a plastic part of the crate or something. Right? So I'm going to soften this part of it here. All the way around in these two. So we'll do a soften edge on those. Mesh display, soften edge. Because to me, yeah, this part would be like having a missive and it's going to glow in between those. So something like that. And then we have another set of faces we could play with here if we wanted to do something on the front and back of the chest here, which I think I will. So we'll do an extrusion. Again, we'll do probably a offset or a thickness here. So we'll go extrusion. Offset first, probably. Maybe a 0.15 offset. And then I'll hit extrude again. And I'm going to do a thickness now because I just want to be able to pull that back in like this. And then do another offset. So it looks something like that. And maybe I'll pull this back out just a hair on both sides. So it's not an overly complicated shape, right? But this is the crate, okay? So, I can nuke this one because this one is a lot better, a lot cleaner. So we've got this crate here now that we can unwrap and paint and do all kinds of cool stuff with. So if we have the time, we'll take it and pull it into Substance Painter. If we don't, then we'll just do Photoshop painting, which is fine. I think, yeah. I'm just kind of looking around here, seeing if there's anything else I want to kind of clean up. I might clean up these bevels a little bit here. Just kind of around it, so it doesn't look like it's being... It almost looked kind of squished right there, so I'd rather it be a little cleaner. And if I fix it up on the one side, I'll just delete half and fix it. So I just kind of wanted to see how that would look. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys a trick, right? I'm going to cut 50% here. And since I like that front right quarter panel of the chest, I'm going to do something here. So I can delete half of my chest this way, right? Because this thing's all kind of symmetrical. And I can delete the back half here, right? Because I fixed this set of faces, right? So now that I've done that, I'm just going to take this guy and mirror him a couple times. So we'll go mesh mirror. And in the X positive, we'll mirror it, right? Actually, I think I deleted some extra faces that I didn't want to delete. So let's double check. So we'll try that one more time. I fixed that one. So this is here, object mode, mesh mirror in the positive X so that it goes backwards. Hit Q and then mirror again and do positive in the Z or negative in the Z. Nope, positive in the Z. Okay. Then hit Q. And now that bevel that I fixed is fixed everywhere, right? Because we just mirrored it everywhere. So, pretty nice trick when your stuff is kind of symmetrical like that. And then make sure I'm going to do a file save as here. Or actually, before I save, I'm going to do an edit, delete all by type history. Just because it's notorious. Maya is notorious for crashing when you use the mirror function. The mirror function is great and works really well, but it does have a history of causing things to crash. So, or to completely explode your model into a million pieces and then it looks weird and is broken. I guess I need to fill the hole here on the bottom. delete all by type history, and then we'll do a file save as. So file save scene as, and then I'll just do chest new. And then I usually do like an 01 or something. I'll save that out. Okay. Any questions on how we got to this point? It's not that complicated of a shape. It looks complicated, but it really is just laying out the groundwork of your edge loops and doing extrusions and bevels. And we get this pretty nice looking hard surface crate, right? It's low poly. It's not crazy high poly. I bet we're under a couple thousand polygons here. So if we go to display, heads up display, poly count, we can turn it on. Yeah. So we're under 1,000 polygons. About 1,100 tries, which is pretty good. It's a low poly. We can scale it up. Yeah, kind of cool. I could see it kind of lined up with a bunch of them in a scene. I always like to do this when I create models like this. Like, okay, if they're going to be in a scene, how are you going to see them kind of stacked? Yeah, I like that. Those are sweet. Should we texture our models too by next week? No. No. I mean, if you want to, you can. But next week we'll work on next lecture we'll do the paint, and then your model will be due, your final assignment will be due during finals week. So next Monday we'll talk about unwrapping and painting it, and then you can hand it in during finals week, which is the week of the 29th. So if you want to get ahead and be done, then sure, go ahead and attempt to unwrap it. And if you attempt to unwrap it, then you can go ahead and paint it. But if you want to wait for me to do it and you can watch me unwrap and do it, then that's fine too. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult than the last thing we unwrapped, just because of all the different angles and things. So we'll unwrap it piece by piece together. So, okay. We are right on time, which is pretty good. We're actually a little early. So if anybody else has a couple questions, let me know. I'm going to throw the assignment together. Today's word is going to be crate. C-R-A-T-E. So I'll type it out here. Today's attendance word is crate. I also wanted to throw out the idea too of doing something fun on our last lab day. Maybe doing like Smash Bros or Mario Kart or something. So I'll figure that out. If I can get that to work. So it'd be the last lab. So it'd be the Wednesday lab, the last time. And then everybody could show up and we could do something fun, but I'll think about it a little bit more. Any other questions? I'm not seeing any other questions come through. Okay, if that's everything, then I will see you guys next week. Depending on what happens with the actually no, we're not worried about the labs now. So there's a chance I may move the location of our class to that lab that was next door so that you can all work on Maya. But I'll let you guys know. This assignment is going to be due the 29th of April. I'll get the full assignment posted today, so it'll have an assignment description and everything. It will just be replacing design 7. I think it's design 7 or 8, design 8. I don't remember what it is. Whatever the ZBrush design assignment was, this will be replacing that one. And I'm just responding quickly to everybody's stuff here. Do you have labs today? Yep, you do have labs today. You'll just be working on your crates. So, yes, you will have lab today and Wednesday. So if you need help, yeah, please show up to your labs. This is a more complicated model than the other two that we've done. So you're going to run into issues, I'm sure. So being in the lab where Paul and Landon and EQ can help you, then you'll want to show up. Because you'll go to bevel something and it won't work properly, and it's probably because you'll have a weird extrusion or a random face. So show up to your labs so you can work through those. Okay. All right, everybody. I appreciate your time today, and I will see you guys next week. Okay. Thanks, everybody. See ya.